Welcome to the Modern Taoist with Kit Man. Ancient wisdom, modern life, and the way. Visit us online at taoananda.com or find us on all the socials. Now, the Modern Taoist.
Well, hello again and welcome to episode 2 of the Modern Taoist. I hope I can keep my voice intact throughout this whole thing. For whatever reason, I'm losing my voice kind of on a daily basis by the end of the day. But we're not even at the end of the day as I record this. It's about noon here in beautiful Central Oregon. And I want to thank everybody that has already tuned in or subscribed to this podcast. Kind of came out of nowhere. If you listened to episode 1, we kind of explained that. But I want to move on and let's pretend that we've been doing this forever. And let's just jump right in to episode 2. And I want to talk about what I call the Matrix. Now, this isn't the Matrix like you're thinking of with the black leather and the dodging bullets and the slow motion kung fu. That's not what I'm talking about here. I want to talk about escaping the Matrix that we have set up for ourselves. So no cyber rebellion against the robot overlords, although that might be coming quicker than we think. But this is a far sneakier, quieter kind of trap that has happened. In fact, it's one that doesn't even look like a trap at all when you're in it. Think about your day for just a second. Wake up, first thing your hand reaches for. Admit it. It's probably your phone. If it's not your phone, good for you. You're a step ahead. But for many, many, many millions here in 2025, as we record this, it is your phone. Before your feet even hit the floor, you are now in someone else's script. Notifications, emails, your work, news alerts, ads that have slipped into your feed, written by people who know more about your habits than you do. Before you have even had your first sip of coffee, you've already been told what's important, what's urgent, what's trending, what's supposed to matter, what you should pay attention to. All by either strangers or work people who are now determining how your morning is going to start. You are in someone else's script. Okay? Then the routine kicks in. Same drive to work, same walk down the same hallway, same handful of conversations with the same people, same playlist or radio chatter humming along in the background on your car stereo if you don't listen to really good modern Taoism podcasts, which, just saying. And by the time you sit down on the couch at night, you're too tired to decide anything else. So what do? You let the algorithm choose it for you. There's 10 or 12 movies that have been recommended to you by someone else. And do you search your brain for something that you might want to watch? Or do you go, hey, that one looks good? And then a few hours later, lights out. Rinse and repeat, as they said in the advertising business in the 1970s. Rinse and repeat. Same thing every day. Very little of it according to you. Most of it according to someone else. And that's the Matrix that I'm talking about. No green code raining down on your screen, but an invisible net that you have of habits and expectations and freaking autopilot thinking that quietly eats whole chunks of your life. And the wild part about this is even though all of this is scripts coming at you from other people, you still are the one that helped to build it. Half of that is yours. Because they've become shortcuts that you lean on. These are patterns that you could have changed at any point, but you never bothered to. So that half of it is yours. The other half is what is built for you by culture and marketing and the other people stuck in their own loops going through the day by day. All the stuff that is written for you is coming to you from someone else stuck in a loop of their own making that is scripted by someone else. You see what I mean? It's a pebble in the river. And it just expands and expands and expands and expands and encompasses every single one of us. And that is where Taoism steps in. The Tao doesn't say, burn it all down, go live in a cave, sell everything you own. That's not what this is about. Taoism says, open your eyes. See it for what it is. Become Neo and leave the Matrix. Neo left the Matrix because he saw the Matrix for what it was. He took the red pill and saw the truth. And Taoism is kind of a red pill. Because you can't step out of it if you don't see it for what it is. So how do you do this? You have to acquire the skills. And the first skill that you need to acquire is awareness. Noticing. That's how the unplugging process starts. You realize, okay, what Kit said on the podcast, here it is. This is it right here. This isn't life. This is a script that I've been reading and agreeing with without question. I'm the actor and somebody else is the director. Noticing is the first skill you need to acquire. When I started practicing awareness, it was awkward as hell. I noticed things that I thought were my choices, but they weren't. The shows I watched, the food I ate, the way I reacted to certain people, all of them were defaults. It's like realizing that you've been sleepwalking or that you are in someone else's program. And then you have to try to remember how to walk like a normal person again. So here's the kicker, though. Escaping this doesn't mean quitting your job and selling everything you own and moving to a hut in the mountains, although that sounds fantastic and I would do it tomorrow if I could. It means, however, living in the same world that you're in right now, but with your eyes open. It means knowing when you're being pulled into the noise and choosing consciously whether to go along with it or not. That choice is everything. Because without it, you're just another program running in the background. When you start to become a real participant in your own life, by noticing and then choosing, that's a completely different scenario. If you're trying to quit eating sugar, it is up to you. But the craving will make you mindlessly reach for the caramel popcorn. So you have to notice that you're doing it. And then if you notice and you go, I'm not supposed to be eating this, but I'm going to, well, that's a different story. That's you making a choice. You're then writing your own script, and the outcome is your fault alone. There's a weird, slightly embarrassing memory that still makes me wince a little bit. I was working in the radio business, and I'd just gotten off the air, and I was going into a break room, and I sat down in the same chair that I always sat in, with the same meal that I always had after I got off the air. And it was one of those plastic tasting, healthy, quote unquote, healthy meals. The kind you tell yourself is good because it fits in your calorie count, but really it's just garbage. It's cardboard with salt. But anyway, that day the room was really quiet. Usually we had a TV on with the news so we could keep track of things. There were 3 or 4 other people in there at the same time. This time the TV was off. There was nobody else in there, just me and myself and my shadow and a vending machine. And it was really quiet. And for whatever reason, that bit of quiet sort of started to wake me up a little bit. But then 2 other people came into the room and we started talking. And it was the same small talk about the same news story that we'd already covered 3 times that week. And right in the middle of a sentence, it hit me that I could predict the entire conversation before it even happened. Almost word for word. Not really literally word for word, but almost. Like I could predict who was going to have what opinion, who was going to complain about what, because it was the same recycled stuff that had happened over and over and over and over and over and over forever. And for whatever reason, that tiny little moment knocked me sideways. It wasn't some cinematic choose the red pill event. No one handed me a choice between fantasy and reality. It was more like waking up right in the middle of the sentence and realizing I'm on autopilot. And so is everyone around me. And once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it until I did. The shows I chose to watch, they were whatever Netflix lined up for me. The hobbies that I thought I was passionate about, half of them were things I just stumbled into. Even the way I handled conflict at work, it was just my personality. But it was really, I thought it was my personality. It was really just programming. Nobody forces you into that life. There's no villain. The matrix we're talking about is built out of habits, comfort zones, the invisible conveyor belts of what you're supposed to do. Because it isn't actively painful most of the time, we don't even question it. It's death by 1,000 cuts. It's death by routine. And when I started studying the Taoist practice more in depth with my teacher, Master Zhao, it stopped being an interesting philosophy and started feeling like survival. Because the first skill you have to learn, the first skill any good Taoist teacher is going to give you, as what I'm trying to give you right now, is awareness. Notice the trap before you try to escape it. It's like turning on the lights in a messy room. You see the piles of junk you've been ignoring and you realize how long you've been pretending not to notice. It's not instant transformation. It never is. It's awkward. You know, I would go home sometimes and realize my whole evening was scripted. And it didn't stop right away. Even though I realized it, it still didn't stop. Because I started pretending that my choices were mine, but really, they're not yours until you completely figure out how to unplug. But awareness is just the beginning. If you bring it all down into Taoist terms, old school, ancient Taoist terms, let me tell you what we're talking about is called Ming. Clarity. Seeing things as they are, not as you've been told that they are. The Tao Te Ching says knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. The difference between Taoism and the Western escape the system mindset is because in the West, we like rebellion. Smash the machine, quit your job, move to a cabin, delete all your apps. Taoism doesn't demand any of that. It just says you don't need to blow up the system. You just need to see it clearly without judgment. You can still work your job, pay your bills, get on Spotify, do whatever you want to do, but do it with awareness so that you're not enslaved by it. It's like riding a moving sidewalk. You're aware that you're standing there, that you're not using your own legs, right? You're not an idiot. You're aware that you're standing there. But you're also aware you can step off of it. You can even walk in the opposite direction if you want it. I mean, everybody at the airport would get pissed, but whatever. If you're not aware, the belt just carries you straight down the thing, whether you want to get there or not. And that's the heart of Taoist practice. Awareness is the rebellion. You don't have to fight the whole machine. You just have to be aware that the machine is trying to drag you and then stop being dragged. Taoism gives you permission to stop judging yourself for the patterns that you're stuck in. Awareness isn't about shame. Shame is a concept that doesn't exist because that's about your ego. Awareness is about clarity. If you want to sit down and scroll social media for an hour and you're aware that what you're doing it and it's not mindless, you're not just sitting there going, dee, 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 dee. Well, then that's a choice you've made. But if you're just sitting there going, dee, 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 well, you've just lost that time. Same action, different relationship. One is a choice. One is that's freedom. Freedom is making the choice and living with the consequences or the happy outcomes, whatever. Think about the alternative, the constant tug of war of Western self-help advice. Think about it. It's exhausting. How many things do you see on the internet? Break free, take control, reinvent yourself. Ugh. Taoism doesn't demand reinvention. It just invites recognition. And that recognition means seeing without grabbing has a way of softening your life. Instead of constantly trying to blow up your routines with self-help, just simply notice that they are routines. And look, I'm just telling you, this is step one, okay? I'm not telling you this is the solution, but you have got to grasp step one. You've got to grasp awareness. You have to. Taoism isn't about running away from the trap. It's about understanding how the trap works so you can lift up the bar that's holding your foot down and take the cheese anyway. So let's make it practical for a minute. Okay? Just for a second. If the matrix is just patterns that you don't notice, how do you actually catch it in action? Other than the things I brought up today that are pretty obvious. It's one thing to nod along to the idea, but another thing entirely to spot it right then in an instant in your own life. So here's some tests that I've come up with that you can run. And they're not complicated. They might make you a bit uncomfortable, but that's okay. That's how you know it's working, right? You pour alcohol into a scratch and it stings. It stings because it's killing all the stuff that you don't want in there anymore. That's how you know it's working. So some of this may sting a little. So here's a few tests that you can do yourself. Tomorrow morning, have a morning autopilot check. Wake up, and before you even touch your phone, just remember this sentence. Pause. Just pause, just for a second. And say, is this actually what I want to do first today? What do I want to actually do first today? It's my choice. I can do whatever I want. I'm in my bed. If someone is next to me and they're asleep, or if they're in the shower, or even if they're like wide awake on their own phone, You still have a choice. You can do whatever you want to do. What do you actually want to do? If the answer is check my phone, that's fine. The difference is you chose it because you took time to think about it. That single pause is the beginning of Taoist practice in real time. Give yourself another little Taoist test. Drive a slightly different route to work. Doesn't have to be anything dramatic. Just make a turn that you would not normally make. Even if you turn in a circle, that's okay. Go through the roundabout a couple of times. Will people think you're dumb? Probably, but what do you care? Eat lunch someplace new. Shop in a grocery store you've never stepped into before. Have you ever gone into a grocery store that you've never stepped into before and you know how weirdly uncomfortable it is because you don't know where anything is? Like your brain is trying to pull you back towards something familiar. That discomfort, that's that matrix fighting for home field advantage. Instead of embracing the strangeness of it, we all feel just a little bit weird. Like, where the hell is the milk? In my store, the bread is right here on the right, but in this store, it's over there someplace. And we don't embrace that and put a smile on our face and go, wow, look at this cool store. That's that routine trying to pull you back. Break a routine. That's another great test. Have a media diet scan. Pull up your streaming queue or your podcasts or your Netflix or whatever. How many of those choices that you see or have at your disposal are ones that you specifically picked? Shows that you deliberately sought out because they spoke to you, and how many are algorithm spoon food? How many are just leftovers? You watched 2 Christian Bale movies in the last 6 months, and now suddenly you're getting Christian Bale movies, none of which you asked for. Not picking on Christian Bale. I love Christian Bale, but you get my point. Most people are going to be shocked when they realize that half of those favorites that are up there have nothing to do with anything you actually picked. Do you realize that if you start a movie and stop it maybe 5 minutes in, you would think the algorithm would say, she doesn't like these kinds of movies. No. It's the opposite. The algorithm says, we can't have her stopping. Give her a bunch to choose from that are exactly like this. Use a scan on your media diet and see what comes up. Another thing you can do as you're beginning your Taoist awareness practice, have a conversation audit. Pay attention to small talk. Notice, and again, remember, it all comes down to noticing. It all comes down to the awareness to pay attention. Notice how often people repeat the same stories, the same news, the same complaints about their job. It's like a script that everybody is carrying around. And once you see that, you'll realize that you're doing the same thing. It doesn't mean people are boring. Most people don't even know they're doing it because it means the matrix is running that dialogue for them. It's running dialogue for you too. Catch yourself. That's the key to this, right? Catch yourself saying the same stuff today or tomorrow that you said last week. Maybe not word for word, but idea for idea. Now, here's one that's brutal. I mean, not brutal, but okay, maybe for some people it is. Do nothing for 10 minutes. I'm not saying go meditate, although, we'll get into that, but just do nothing. No music, no TV. Turn your phone off. Don't silence it. What's the worst thing that could happen if you turned your phone off for 10 minutes? I'm old enough to have lived in a world where you always had your phone off until somebody called, and then even then you were like, I can't answer that. So do nothing. No music, no phone, no TV, no background noise. Just sit in the room. And you think that I'm going to talk to you about meditation right now, but no, because what you're going to notice is how quickly your brain claws for distraction. Notice how quickly your brain begins to trick you into trying to stop you from being quiet. That's the Matrix's most powerful trick. It convinces you that your silence is unbearable. It convinces you that doing nothing is the waste of time. Not watching a mindless, idiotic TV show that you really aren't interested in the first place. That's not the waste of time in the Matrix. The Matrix is telling you you're wasting your time by not watching the show. And here's the kicker. Once you start noticing these patterns, once you get in the habit of noticing, you're never going to not notice again. You won't be able to unsee these patterns. You'll catch yourself mid-scroll and go, oh crap, it's the Matrix again. You'll hear it in conversations. You'll see it in your routines. You'll feel it in the way that you grasp and beg for the familiar. The goal here is not to judge yourself. Judgment is another trap. That's another script, and we're going to talk about that someday soon. The goal isn't judgment. The goal is simply to see. To notice, to be aware. Because once you see, you get back the one thing that the Matrix has stolen from you, and that is real choice. Choice is rare currency. You can keep scrolling. You can keep driving the same route, keep watching the same shows. Nobody's stopping you. But now you are aware that you're doing it, and you're choosing to do it because you're awake and not asleep. So here's the good news. Like I said already, you don't have to torch your life to start escaping the Matrix. No selling your house, although. No quitting your job, although. And no running off into the mountains, although. The Tao isn't about dramatic gestures. Make them if you want. Make a dramatic gesture, but it's your choice to make. The Tao is about awareness. And awareness always starts small. So here's your challenge for this episode. Pick one routine you do without thinking. Doesn't matter what it is. Maybe it's the snack you eat every afternoon without even tasting it. Maybe it's the way you flip through the same 3 apps. Maybe it's the fact that every time a commercial comes on your favorite show, you immediately reach for your phone, because that's certainly more interesting than the commercial, but I bet you don't even remember what you looked at on that phone. Pick one of those routines and just notice it for a week. Don't change it. Don't try to break it. Just notice it. Just pay attention. At first, it feels underwhelming. You're like, big deal. Who cares? You expected fireworks. Like, everybody thinks that getting into any kind of new philosophy or new thought is going to be like this big, overwhelming, divine intervention baloney. So you expect fireworks. What you're going to get is kind of an awkward silence. You're going to catch yourself mid-action, and you're going to feel kind of stupid. You're going to go, wow, holy cow, I really am a robot. That awkwardness, that is solid gold. Okay? That's the red pill in slow motion. No sci-fi living in a goo pod battery. No, you're just waking up inside your own life. And then here's usually what happens next. And I can predict this stuff because A, I've been taught it, B, I've experienced it, C, I've noticed it. But here's what's going to happen after you have your underwhelming awkwardness, where you realize you're a robot. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to notice how many of your choices aren't yours at all, and it's really going to annoy you. That's good. That's proof that you're paying attention. Taoist practice calls for this clarity. It's not judging yourself, it's seeing clearly. Seeing gives you space. Space gives you freedom. And once you start, you'll notice other glitches in the green code. You'll notice that you start pausing before hitting send on a snarky email. You'll notice when you set your phone down instead of opening it to look at Facebook for no reason. You'll notice that you decided to take the long way home because, hey, there's a new grocery store you haven't checked out yet. Or maybe you just want to take a different road because you want to see what's there. God forbid you look at something new. And these tiny shifts they're not going to look dramatic. But they are everything. They mean everything because it means you've stepped off that conveyor belt, even just for a second. So if you have anything you'd like to share, feel free to reach out. Share the routines you never noticed until now. Reply to the email or send me an email or make a comment on this post or whatever. Tell me about the time you caught yourself on autopilot. Because it's interesting to me. Because I catch myself all the time. Now, there have been moments in my life where I didn't catch myself, where I didn't practice as much as I should. There were long stretches where I didn't practice at all. And I felt like an idiot when I went to reload my practice. Because I felt, wow, I just wasted all that time. But that's okay. That what am I working for? The uncomfortableness. The discomfort is what I'm looking for. That's okay. That means you care and it means you're paying attention. Until then, don't try to fix everything. Don't overthink it. Just notice. Noticing is all you got to do as you take your first steps in any Taoist practice. Sure, I could teach you about meditation. I could teach you about Qigong. You can go to the website, which is DAOAN88, Dawananda, ANANDA, Ananda, DAO, not TAO. Spell it however you choose, but you can go to the website and you can look at the lesson videos, and there's going to be Qigong videos up there, and there's other stuff. But none of that matters until you learn step one, and that is awareness. And hopefully this podcast has helped you with that. So thank you very much. Normally these podcasts will be somewhere in the neighborhood of 35, 45, 50 minutes, who knows. but I appreciate you listening, and I appreciate you stopping by. Again, go to the website, daoananda.org. The .com is there too, but it's a long story. It's a technical thing that has nothing to do with me whatsoever. It'll be fixed here really soon. You could try either, but daoananda.org will always work. My name is Kip Mann. Thanks so much.
Thanks for listening to The Modern Taoist with Kip Mann. Visit us online at daoananda.com or find us on all the socials. Please like or subscribe on this platform, and thanks again.